I want to be able to share my story to give other people the opportunity to learn from it and help it with their story. When I was in prison, the biggest thing that kept me going was the hope that I was going to come out and redeem myself, and within 7 years, I was going to clear my name. That is the hope that I live with inside prison. I just want to shout out to yourself, Kojin, and the voiceofaroha team. You know, you guys are doing an incredible job. I'm seeing what you guys are doing online and how you're growing and how your message is growing. And it's absolutely an honor to watch, you know.
Kia ora whānau, welcome to Voiceofaroha show. Again, I have very special guest today with me in the studio. We will introduce him very shortly. So be with us and watch the full episodes. Kia ora, welcome back again. I'm very excited about today's episode. I have really a good friend and a friend that is, it could be your friend as well when you watch to this full episode. So I really encourage you to join me and welcome our amazing guest today, Bariz. Brother Bariz, how are you?
Appreciate you having me, Kojin. Good to
Great.
meet you, brother.
Welcome to see you. Welcome. It's been a long time, I think, right? It's been a month. We did not meet in person yet.
Yes, it's been a few months.
All right.
I usually see you when I come to Wellington, so
yeah. So welcome.
good to see you again.
Great. Welcome.
Thanks,
welcome. Hope you will enjoy your tour here in Wellington. So Bariz, I would love you to. That's what we do. We don't really want to introduce people, so we tell them, "This is your mic." And introduce yourself. So if I ask you that question, how you will introduce yourself to our audience and people watching?
Man, that's really a tough one, eh? Introductions, but you know, I'm a Muslim first and foremost, a Muslim man living here in Aotearoa. I originally from Afghanistan, so that's where my family descends from. I grew up in Auckland. You know, I did my studies at University of Canterbury, and I'm a father of two now and a husband as well. So. That's me in a nutshell. I don't like to go too much because people should read the book.
Absolutely. If you guys Google his name, there's other stuff he can do. So that's great, Bariz. So you are now in Christchurch, right?
Yeah. I've moved from Auckland to Christchurch. I'm based there now.
Great. Which cities you favor so far within these movies?
Bro, to be honest with you, Christchurch will always have a place in my heart, you know. Obviously, doing my studies there, it was a city that I rebuilt myself, so I'm very connected to that city. And also my oldest son is born there as well. And obviously March 15 and my involvement there. So it has a special place in my heart. I think Christchurch is the best city for me, to be honest.
Okay, great. So we may disagree on Wellingtonian here. We may make you Wellingtonian one day.
All right. I actually like the vibe in Wellington, but yeah.
Great. Awesome. It's just New Zealand is beautiful.
It is 100% beautiful.
Yeah. Great, but brother, I'm recently that you have published a book, which is this beautiful book, Beyond Hope. I want to start with that. It's before we go, I have a few questions here about the book and the story of it. I want to find out your story. What's your story? Why you decided to take this step?
Yeah, so I got asked this question yesterday at a Q&A session in Greytown, and my answer was, I feel like I've rebuilt myself. I've worked hard on myself from where I was in life to where I am now. I feel like I've come a really long way. I've learned things at a young age. I've had experiences, and I want the opportunity to tell other people, not only young people, but people in general, because people relate with stories, they learn from stories. So I want to be able to share my story to give other people the opportunity to learn from it and help it with their story. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to share the book.
Yeah, which is inspired me that there's a story that changed your life, but you are still caring about others.
Yes.
So what's your passion there? Why you want to help other people?
I don't know, man. I've said this before as well. It's a selfish thing, man. Like, I've found that when you serve people without expecting anything in return, you actually feel good. As a human being, you feel whole, And I feel like my creator has designed us that way, for us to be good to other people and actually feel the benefits for ourselves. So it's a selfish thing, but then also I like to see, my contribution to other people because it brings fulfillment for sure.
Yeah.
It's a selfish thing, I think.
It's great selfishness. It's a great for helping others. I think it's not selfish. It's more how the aroha you have to give
Yeah.
back something that you have went through and learning, maybe inspiring someone through the journey. So it's you don't know how it was impacting someone's reading
Yeah.
those lines. And the other one, why is you choose to name it Beyond Hope?
There was a few names floating around, but Beyond Hope actually has two meanings to it. So in a Kiwi kind of like culture, Beyond Hope is someone you say this person is beyond hope, as in they don't have any hope left, you know?
Yeah.
But then it could also mean beyond hope, like after, what comes after hoping, you know, what comes after. So it has like a double meaning to it. And so that's why I was trying to show that, you know, showing both sides of the coin in the same name. So, yeah.
Yeah. That hope, does it come from your time when you were in prison?
Hope?
Yeah.
Oh, the idea of hope?
Yes.
100%, man. To be honest, when I was in prison, the biggest thing that kept me going was the hope that I was going to come out and redeem myself, and within 7 years, I was going to clear my name. That is the hope that I lived with inside prison. And obviously, the hope that, you know, I'll be forgiven by my Creator, and I'll have a opportunity to redeem myself, you know. But hope is a huge factor. I think hope is like the first thing that people need when wanting to make a change in their life. And without hope in prison, I don't think I would have been able to change my life around at all. The unfortunate truth is, and we're kind of jumping ahead here, but the unfortunate truth is you can't actually have your record cleared in New Zealand at all. Yeah. So the criminal conviction that I've got, no matter what I do, no matter how much I prove myself in society, I can never have my record cleared. That's the current law right now, you know, and I'm trying to raise awareness about this for us to bring changes in this field, you know, to give people an opportunity after they have proved themselves and redeemed themselves, to give them an opportunity to have a clear slate, you know, to not be questioned everywhere they go, whether they had a conviction at the age of 18, you know. It just doesn't make sense to me. So that's kind of something that we're working on, and I talk about it in the book, chapter 15.
Yeah, absolutely. And so in your opinion, why you think that it's really hard in New Zealand to clear it or make these changes? Yeah,
so currently we have a clean slate scheme, so the people that aren't aware, so it's basically if you haven't had a custodial sentence, so you haven't been to prison, you can have your record cleared within 7 years. So simple charges like drink driving or anything of that nature, you can have it cleared. But if you've been sentenced to prison, no matter how small that charge is, you can never have it cleared. And so I'm saying, like, as a country, we need to not have fear, you know. The reason why this is still in place and politicians don't want to make a move is because the general public are afraid of having this implemented. Because the general public, their perception is, okay, if we have the record cleared, how do I know who's a criminal? You know, how do I know who's been a criminal? I want to know. So that fear that they have is stopping the politicians from actually enacting something. Because the research shows that after 7 years, if people haven't committed a crime again, after being released from prison, 10 years, if they haven't committed a crime, almost 100% certain that they won't commit a crime again. This is research that shows this. But as a country, we're still afraid to take that step and be like, you know what, we want to implement something and give people a second chance. So that's why I'm trying to raise awareness to the general public that we shouldn't be afraid and we should allow people to have a second chance. Obviously, there's certain things that we're not going to have, you know, clean slated because we need to be aware. For example, sexual offenders, crimes of that nature, you know, we need to be aware. However, there are majority of other crimes, especially people who committed at a young age, they should have the opportunity, man, to have it cleared. So that's kind of what I'm advocating for right now.
Yeah. And how is you seeing the response after you published the book and the journeys you're doing through the advocacy and all other stuff you do? How you're seeing the public, how's receiving? How's the response from people?
So every Q&A that I've been to, festival that I've gone to, I talk about this, and people think that it's unfair that this is the case in New Zealand. So the general public, when explained to the situation, a lot of them don't even actually know that this is currently a problem. The reason why I see this as a problem is because when young people go to prison, between the ages of 17 to 22, research shows that that's the amount of time that most people go into prison or commit crime in that age, that specific age. When they go into prison at that age, they need to be given hope that when you come out, you can redeem yourself and society will accept you. But if we don't give them that hope in prison, what are they going to do when they're in prison? They're going to be like, stuff it, I'm going to be a criminal for the rest of my life. And I met people like this, young people in prison. And I talk about them in the book. Young guy by the name of West in particular, how he didn't have hope. You know, he was a first-time offender like me. The difference between us was an officer had lied to me and said that you can have a clean slate after 7 years. And I lived with that hope while in prison, but he didn't have that understanding. And to be honest, one of my regrets is I wish I had told him that lie as well. I wish I had told him that you can have your record cleaned so he can, you know, have hope and actually do better for himself. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
Have you tried to... I'm thinking this way. Have you tried to reconnect with that prison and they publish the book, or they allow you to talk to them?
100%.
Do a seminar or something there?
Yeah. So that's the plan. So currently I'm on an advisory group with Fians, and we're focusing on bettering the experiences of Muslim prisoners inside. So we meet with Department of Corrections here in Wellington, actually, a couple of times a year. Our next time we meet them is in August. And we propose to them ideas on how they can better the experience. And my plan is in the future, and I'm lining it up to visit prisons and kind of like, not conduct a workshop, but, you know, introduce people to this idea of having hope and holding on and seeing what's possible, even despite not having a record cleared. You know, because I achieved what I achieved without having my record cleared. So I want to show other people that it is possible. It's very difficult, but it is possible.
Right, beautiful. So I see that you've been in a journey, and then now, if you just imagine it, if you get into such a situation you've been to, and a lot of people will lose the hope directly. They will see every door is closed. So what was the turning point for you that you said, I will turn this around, I will change my life, and I can inspire others around me? So what happened in that journey a little bit, if you talk about it?
I guess it's like a whole background, right? Like I'm from Afghanistan. We're resilient people, you know. We're geographically placed in a location where everybody wants a piece of us. And so I carry that with me. I carry my father's experiences of, you know, resisting the Soviet occupation. And so I have this upbringing. I have this mindset, I guess. And then also the fact that I'm a Muslim. And as a Muslim, we never give up hope, not on ourselves and not on other people as well. So carrying that with me helped me in prison. When I was able to rebuild myself, I carried that hope that I can change my life around, because God expects it of me. And so I have to expect it of myself as well. So as a Muslim, I think there's no way that you can lose hope. Like if you were to lose hope as a Muslim, I think it's something to do with your faith, and you need to work on it. Yeah.
Okay, great. Great. I love that.
And also, I mean, we're migrants, right? Like we come here with a chip on our shoulder. We've got something to prove, and we've got a lot to prove, you know, for other people and ourselves. And unfortunately, that's the truth. We can say, like, why do we have to prove ourselves? You know, why can't we be like other people? But that's the truth. We've come here, and we need to prove ourselves. And we're doing that, man. You're doing it. Love the work that you're doing, so we're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, you know, that's the other things people may not know, how many things we have to prove, how many
100%.
things we have. And even in our normal life of just coming from different culture, to start understanding the other culture and all of that, it's just a big thing, because we speak the language, we speak 2 or 3 or more than that, right? So I'm very interested about the challenges you may face after you come out from prison. What was some of the challenges, biggest one faced your way, and what you were thinking that time?
So the good thing for me was, obviously, I had that hope that I could clean my record. And it wasn't until the 4th year of university when I understood that that's not actually the case, and I can never have my record cleared. But by that time, I was well established in the community. I was doing work, so I had built a name for myself. So I didn't really go through that initial phase of trying to find employment. Because as soon as I came out of prison in 2015, it was Ramadan. So I was fully disciplined for a whole month, and then I started my next semester at uni. So I went straight into uni. And at university, you don't really face much challenges. There's not many prejudices against people that have committed crime, because nobody really cares, because it doesn't impact anybody, right? So by the time I was actually able to get my employment, I had built a name for myself. And I used that as my, I guess, my tool to get through doors that were potentially closed for me. And now I've learned that I can actually use my time in prison as actually a conversation starter, and show that, you know, I've been down this route, but look where I am now. And it actually opens doors for me instead of closing it. So I've used it to my advantage now. And that's another thing that I live by, is like transforming negative energy and using it as fuel for positive change. And I really believe this. No matter what happens in our life, we can transform it and use it for our own advantage. So that's where we're at right now.
I love it. I love that. So it's just, you also make me thinking about, definitely you have to make decisions, hard decisions. And the one what you made that created this hope, that created this impact you're creating in a community and beyond. So how was the process of that decision? What courage gave you? What was the something that you say, I will decide to change this, and I will be advocating for making awareness around this issue that is facing me and many others who are in the same situation around there. So I want to understand, like, the process of decisions, how the courage, what happened.
Of course. So obviously there's multiple things that happen in your life, and then you're confronted with a situation, and in that situation you have to make a decision, right? For me, growing up, I developed a victim mindset growing up here in the West as a Muslim. I developed a victim mindset, and I went down the wrong path. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that, but I went into a dark path, and I was in a really bad place. But it wasn't until I went back to Afghanistan in 2012, and I was confronted with a situation where I met a young boy in a canal. I'm standing at the side of a canal, smoking a cigarette, feeling sorry for myself, you know, because my life wasn't where I wanted it to be. I was feeling depressed. I was empty inside. And I see this young kid over here in the cold winter of Kabul inside a canal, dirty canal, and he's collecting plastic bottles. And I ask him, what are you doing? He's like, I'm collecting plastic bottles. I'm going to use this as recycling, get money for my family. Young kid, you know, and he had a massive smile on his face. And I'm standing here, privileged, feeling sorry for myself, thinking that the world owes me something. You know, so that was one of the turning points in my life where I got a slap on my face, like, wake up, man, what are you complaining about? You know, us as human beings, all of us are so privileged, and some of us are more privileged than others, and we need to understand that. So me living in a place like New Zealand, where it is safer, there is more economic opportunity here, I shouldn't be complaining, you know. And as a young person, that's what I was doing. So that was the first point where I was confronted with a situation where I got a slap on my face, but I was still in the bad habits that I was involved with, because it's hard to kick bad habits, right? I was still involved with those habits. So I came back to New Zealand, still with the bad habits, wasn't able to shake off those bad habits, and then I ended up in prison. But prison was the opportunity that really allowed me to discipline myself, remove distractions from myself, because outside there's so much distractions, man. We're constantly bombarded with distractions, and it's hard to take decisions. It's hard to commit to things, right? Like you want to commit to something, and then all of a sudden, 2 minutes later, you're distracted, and then you're no longer committed anymore. And that's just the way society is designed, unfortunately. Social media, influence of advertising, everything is just designed to keep you occupied and stop you from actually making firm decisions. But in prison, you're removed from that. You know, it's you, it's your cell. You've got one TV, and that TV has like channels that you don't really want to watch because it's boring. The same things on repeat. And so you have to make a decision. That's the point in your life where you have to make a decision. Do I want to change my life now? Or do I want to continue down the victim route that's got me nowhere? And at that point, I chose to change my life. And when I made that decision that I'm ready to change myself, I stopped smoking cigarettes. Even in prison, there were cigarettes. I stopped smoking that. You know, I completely rid myself of all the bad habits that I had. and I started disciplining myself, and my life completely changed, man. And obviously it was when I accepted that I need God in my life, and I was going to live a life that was according to, the instructions that's been set out for me by God. And when I started doing that, life completely changed, man. So I'm a big advocate for faith. Obviously, we live in a secular society, but as a Muslim, I'm a huge advocate for faith, especially for young people, because it can make a huge difference in their life. It can give them the foundation that they need to have a strong identity, to live a purposeful life, So, yeah, man.
Yeah, that's inspiring, man.
Thank you, brother.
Wow.
Thank you.
Just how great it is that you're giving real hope that the turning point, the change is possible.
Yes, 100% it's possible.
What you've been through, this is the young person, which is a lot of people right going through now. In a prison or without prison, they are losing the hope.
Yes.
So in that one, if I reflected to say, if there's young people watching right now, what would you be telling them? How you will see the afraid, how you will answer them. They say, we are afraid to make decisions. We are afraid to not get out from the problems we are in. So how you will tell them through the book you've written, through the stories you shared there, what will be the response to that? How you tell them, do not afraid?
Yeah, man, I would have a conversation with them like I would have a conversation with my younger self. And I would say, really be honest with yourself. Stop bullshitting yourself. You know what I mean?
That's the one.
As a young person, man, you're growing up in the world and you start to form narratives that aren't actually true about yourself, about the world. And you start to live in a state of delusion, I call it. And for me, that was exactly the case. I was living in a state of delusion. And as a young person, you need to start thinking like, okay, I'm making these decisions or I have these mindsets. Why do I have this? Why do I believe this? The friends group that I have, why am I with these people? Asking the why in every situation in your life. Why am I with these guys? Do they add value to my life? Are they actually loyal friends to me? No, they're not. Why am I with them? Why am I wasting my time? Is it because I need validation? Do I struggle with a sense of validation? Was my upbringing to do with this? Really analyzing your life. And that's what I did in prison. I was removed from everything and I really stripped everything back and started analyzing my life. Friends that I had. Analyzing each single friend, like, why are they my friend? What do I expect from these people? Why do I expect these things from these people? And it actually told a lot about myself and where I was, I struggled with validation. Like as a young person, I felt like I wanted to be validated. I wanted to be accepted by society. But because I wasn't contributing anything to society wasn't validating me. And fair enough, but I had this false expectation, but I wasn't putting in the work. So we need to understand that whatever we do, we need to ask the why and why we do it. Because when you ask the why, you have a better understanding of yourself. And someone that knows themselves, they know what they want to do and where they want to go. So really, the thing is start from yourself.
Yeah.
That's 100%. Nobody else is going to give you the answers. You need to figure out the answers on your own. And really start asking yourselves questions.
Love that. Love that. What's your why?
Yeah, 100%. Why and everything, not the big why, because some people, the big why can be paralyzing, right? Like, what's my purpose in life? That can be really paralyzing because there's so many things nowadays. You can be anything you want.
Yeah.
That, to a point, paralyzes you, especially as a young person now. And that's another thing that I'm interested about. Like, one of the reasons why young people are finding it so hard to make decisions is because they're spoiled for choice, And that in itself is paralyzing. So you need to really bring it back and ask why in different fields of your life. Do I have a good relationship with family? No. Why? It's important to have good relations with your family. Do I have a belief in a higher power? No. Why? Because it's good to have a belief in a higher power because you're not the end all be all. You remove yourself from being the center of attention and you actually focus on the bigger picture. So these things really can help a young person. I strongly advocate for them to start asking why in different areas in their life.
Yeah, absolutely, 100% agree. Oh, that's a beautiful corridor. Thank you for that. I have another question here is about if you can share with me a little bit on your experience about Christchurch mosque attacks and how that impact you personally and as a community leader, and which especially it happened in 2019. So if you share with us a little bit the experience of the attacks when it happened, and after that, what was your reaction there? What were you feeling there?
Obviously, I was about 2 weeks into my role as a president of University of Kansas Muslim Students Association there. And when March 15 happened, you know, we lost people in our community. We saw New Zealand come together for a period of time. It felt like the entire New Zealand embraced us, you know, Muslims in particular. And it felt like, you know, New Zealand had changed. For me personally, I actually felt a difference. You know, people were smiling at you when you're walking down the street, my wife in particular having a headscarf. But then that was an issue, and it started to die down again. Now we're experiencing, you know, similar things as before March 15, you know, people shouting things on the street. My wife in particular, because she wears the headscarf, experiencing these things. But look, I don't want to dwell too much on the negatives. You know, what I feel as a community, we need to understand is that we can't have any dependence on anyone but ourselves as a community, whether it be a migrant community, a Muslim community. Communities cannot be dependent on other people. You know, you need to really start the work within your own community and start strengthening yourself. And so that's where I'm at the moment. I want to encourage Muslims as well to not have expectations from the government, to really, you know, build the relationships within their own community and start building their community from the ground up. Because once you do that, other people cannot impact you in a negative way. But obviously, you know, we know that racism exists in New Zealand. There is a pocket of people that deeply hate, I guess, Muslims in particular, and they see Islam as a threat to Western civilization. We know this, so obviously for something like that, the government needs to do their bit to make sure that they find those pockets of people and stop them from carrying out any acts of hate. But yeah, not really sure if I answered that question. Man, I don't really like talking about March 15 because I just don't want it to be like a thing where I'm, because it can seem as like a clout sort of a thing, you know, where, yeah, that's why I don't really like talking about March 15. And if I do get a chance talking about March 15, I'd encourage my community to focus on the strength that they have, the faith that they have, and not be worried about, you know, not be fearful, I guess. Start building themselves from the ground up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great message there. And just thank you for sharing that experience. And it was shocked us all here in New Zealand. And it's become a big lesson about how we can now stand together, how we can don't let something like that happen ever again in Aotearoa. So in that topic, I'm reflecting on the book you wrote and the stories you shared there, that there's two concepts about hate and hope. How would you evolve? How would you view these two concepts of hate and hope, and how it will be evolve and over time? So the question is simply I'm saying, if there is a hate, do you think the hope will be the response to it?
I've recently read a paper called the Marley Hypothesis, and that paper suggests that people that don't know themselves and they don't know their history and they don't know their identity, they're the ones that are more likely to hate, right? They did a research on this. And so for me, it's like people that have hatred, we need to encourage them to learn more about themselves and more about their history. For example, right-wing extremists, right? Most likely they don't have any clue where they came from, you know, how they were immigrants themselves, how they came here and what experiences they went through, why their forefathers left where they left. Very similar to the migrants that are coming now, you know, and that will help them in their search for identity, and it will actually prevent them from carrying out acts of extremism. Similar to, let's say, a Muslim extremist. They don't have a full understanding of what Islam is about, you know, the tenets of Islam. they're lost themselves and they're easily manipulated. So for me, it's like people that have hatred, we need to enlighten them. There will be a pocket of people, obviously, and there always will be, that will be hateful no matter what. Even if you were to enlighten them, they'll still carry that hatred. And for them, obviously, you need to equip yourself so you can defend yourself physically or monetarily or whatever. You need to have that ability yourself. But for the majority of people, they can be enlightened through giving them an understanding of themselves. Hope, for me, it's faith. Like if I didn't have my faith, I probably wouldn't have hope, to be honest. Like what is a world if there is no, if there's nothing after this? What kind of a world will that be? For me, it would be a world where I'm constantly chasing my own desires and just wanting to fulfill the need of, getting the chemical reactions in my brain that momentarily make me happy. That would be life for me, to be honest with you. And that life leads you down a degenerate and hopeless life. And so for me, I feel like it's faith, man. And unfortunately, because it's a secular society, people aren't drawn to faith. Even in school, they're not encouraged to look into faith. Even if they're not taught faith, they should be encouraged to look into faith. But they're not. And so young people nowadays are hopeless, rightly so, to be hopeless. What is there to live for in this world? Prices are going through the roof. Future's looking extremely bleak. What is there to have hope in, if there isn't faith? But faith teaches us that, no, things can get better. And there'll always be hope.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is one hope, which is books like this. People like you, it gave a hope. It gave a hope because when someone decided, like you share a story that has been challenging to you personally through the time, but you decided to help others, to someone who could be struggling, someone who could relate to that. So I think that's also, for me, that's another hope. When we see such a beautiful work, such a mahi that can inspire others who need. We don't know who is other. You may not know. You will know, maybe you never know who is the one can impact.
Appreciate you,
but,
man.
That's just the work. I think that's the hope we can have for our people.
Yeah, appreciate you.
So thank you for this beautiful work. And coming to the end of the time, but we will take more extra minutes because I just really have loved these conversations with you. I want to ask you about what's the message you would like to give to our young people who are facing maybe similar struggles and the feelings and who lost or defined it by their mistakes. So what will be your message to the young people?
My message will be that the power of the human spirit is absolutely amazing. The way we've been fashioned and designed, we're capable of so much, but through some experiences, we can start to tell negative stories about ourselves and build negative narratives that aren't true. People might think I'm not capable enough. People might think I don't have the ability to speak. I don't have the ability to influence. I'm not charismatic. I'm not smart enough. All these things are stories that we've told to ourselves. These are things that I struggle with and I had to break through and I had to break past. I really struggled with school. I got expelled from 3 high schools. I struggled with going to school, So what I want to, I guess, say to young people is rewrite the story that you've written for yourself. Rewrite that story, think deeply about it, get inspiration from other people's stories. Like for me, a huge inspiration, I know it's cliche, but is Malcolm X, a huge inspiration of mine, because he was someone who was absolutely lost, living a degenerate life, but then decided while he was in prison that he was going to turn to Islam and live a purposeful life. Obviously, he was in a state where he wasn't living the correct form of Islam, but in the end, he was able to break past that and actually came to the true Islam. So look for inspiration in your life, look around you and start rebuilding your narrative, for sure.
Right, I love that. Rebuild your story and your narrative.
100%, man, 100%. Because it's the thing, with experiences, we we write stories.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We experience something, and then we write a story in our head, what that experience gave us. But what we write isn't actually reflective of what that experience could have been. Maybe we were looking at an experience incorrectly. Maybe we're interpreting it wrong. So we need to go back, now that we're wiser, we need to go back to our experiences and reevaluate those experiences.
Right.
Were they actually blessings in our life? And I personally believe that no matter what we go through in life, everything is a blessing. Everything. Because I personally believe that God does not want bad for me. How could my creator want bad for me? My creator is going to put me in situations where it's a blessing, and I need to reevaluate my story and see it as a blessing and actually use it as my fuel for positive change.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Here we
There
go.
we go, brother.
Love it. That's great. Amazing. And also every story or every experience, it could be different, but the message that we can learn from other stuff, it could be, we interpret it in our ways as well. But at the end of the day, the goal is you write your story, you write the experience,
100%.
but definitely you are in the reality of surrounded by other people or other stories around you. So it's all about how I can find the right fit that I can learn what I need to learn. I can also not learn what I need to not learn.
Yes.
So it's something like that we need to then build our own story, our own experience. Coming to the last one, which is about what's your goal after this? What's your other thing? What's your plans? What do you want to do after this? You want to take a tour more to do more things? And also, I want to ask you about if people want to buy and get this book, where they can get it, if you tell us.
Yeah, so the book is available on all platforms, whether it be like purchasing it online through Whitcoll's, Amazon, Goodreads.
Cool.
You can just Google search the name and you'll find it.
And we'll put them
or
on the
physically as
link
well.
here.
Yeah, or physically as well at your nearest bookstore. If they don't have a copy, ask them for one, and they'll definitely get one there. Obviously, my hopes for the book is to tour it around New Zealand. I've done parts of the South Island. I'm going to be doing some in Christchurch again, attending festivals. I was recently in Greytown, a beautiful little place. Haven't been there before, with the Featherston Book Club, Featherston Book Festival, which was absolutely amazing. So just tour it around and raise awareness about some of the ideas in the book, the importance of having second chances for young people, the importance of faith in life, in a young person's life, and in life in general, and in the importance of hope as well. So, yeah, man, tour the book around, do well in my professional career, which I'm currently going to be a project engineer, do really well in that, establish myself in the industry. Just wherever I'm at, man, do the best that I can. I think that's the goal that I have, and whatever happens, happens, man.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing, my friend. Just very glad and honored to have this conversation with you and to become our guest in this podcast. Looking forward for more conversations to have in a different capacity, in a panel conversations and the future things we may do. And I want to thank you that for your corridor and the things you do. So you are really inspiring, like a role model for many that who could be listening, watching this podcast and in your community and around us to just see that something, the journeys you've been through, you turn it into a real hope that's possible. So things is possible. Yeah. So again, thank you for your time. Appreciate it, all these conversations. So we do something in season 5, which is every guest to come here.
Oh, nice.
We tell them our guest messages.
Nice.
So we had a guest before us. You may not know who was it, but he left you a message, a question.
Oh, nice. Okay.
That you will have also opportunity to write a question for the next guest.
All right.
So our previous guests have write this question: where have you feel the most at home? Where have you felt the most at home?
Man, for me, it would have to be a well-maintained mosque that's full of people. When I go to a well-maintained mosque that's full of people, I feel like I'm where I need to be, man. And that's probably where I feel the most at home. And I hope that it remains that way for as long as I'm alive. I just want to shout out to yourself, Kodjin, and the voiceofaroha team. You know, you guys done are doing an incredible job. I'm seeing what you guys are doing online and how you're growing and how your message is growing. And it's absolutely an honor to watch, you know. And I know it's not easy to run a podcast. There are many podcasts that people start and they don't have the consistency and the teamwork to actually keep it going. So big ups to you guys, man. I wish you guys nothing but success in your future endeavors. And I hope that I see Voice of Aroha as the #1 podcast in New Zealand and listen to on the radio. So appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Awesome.